Data is a new currency, data is a new fuel, whatever you call it. Data is a new gold, right? Everything is surrounded by data. And why? Because every company is a technology company. Every organization is creating the data and relying on the data what they have. I'll give you a simple example. Coles or Woolworths or any retail company, right? When they collect your purchase shopping, whatever you go and shop grocery shopping there, the amount you spend, the card you use, you are sharing a lots of information with them, and based on the data which they collect, they decide the trend, whether hey, tomorrow is a sunny day, let's promote barbecue stuff, or right, people would like to have barbecue when there is a nice and sunny outside, or let's go and promote all the fizzy drinks so people can buy more drink, it's a sunny day. So data gives a lot of intelligence, and that is why any corporate data, I gave you example of just a retail, but it could be any other industry, such as financial industry. They collect lots of customer data in terms of their salary they are getting it, how much they're spending it, how much mortgage they have, what kind of shopping pattern they have. Based on that, they create their product. So data gives them intelligence, data gives them knowledge in terms of what they should take care, could be good or a bad, to improve the customer service, to enhance their product, to further market and analyze what they are selling and serving to the customer. So data is, as I said, it's an intelligence, and that is why it is very, very important today. For irrespective of what industry they are, data becomes a fuel or a gold, as we talk about. So it's very, very important today. We are talking about trillions of data being created every year, trillions of GB of data or being created every year by all the industries, right? Talking about just as an example of Australia. When you have such a large amount of data, the data quality and data assurance really become important. You just can't collect all the garbage data. In a language we call it garbage in, garbage out as a concept. So if you have collected all the garbage data, if that feeds into your intelligence, the intelligence itself is the garbage. It's no use. So we need to make sure that the data quality is also been assured. And for that, there has to be a model called data assurance model. I'm giving a bit of a background before I go to that answer. Why data assurance is important, right? So somebody has to check what data has been collected under the law, under the regulatory requirement, under the privacy requirement, who has access to the data. No, you can't just keep the data open and everyone in the company can take advantage, because when attackers hack the systems, first thing they do is exfiltrate the data out of the company, right? And they go and sell the data to other third party, could be competitors or hackers and whatnot, or maybe do a ransomware or call somebody else on that. So data has to be first making sure the right people have access to that. They have policies and governance and model in a way that what is the classification of that particular data, and how I'm going to have a further assurance in terms of data governance. Who has access to the data, how long I'm going to keep the data, once the data is not usable, how I'm going to destroy the data. So there is a whole gamut of a life cycle, we call it data management life cycle, has to be followed, and that whole process is covered as a part of your data assurance life cycle. At a high scale, at a high level, if you talk about, it goes back to the very basic CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if you put data into this triangle of we call it CIA triangle, every data has three kind of threat, or you can call it a breach. Whether the data is a sensitive data and we don't want it to be known by anyone else, which talks about the confidentiality. Second one is we have the data and we don't want to get it modified by a hacker or unauthorized person, talks about integrity of the data. Third about the data is availability part, which means that we want the data to be available anytime and every time somebody wants it, right? So these three are the top three threats. Now you can mix and match with anything, right? How can you protect the data confidentiality? Of course, by making sure the data is classified. How can you assure data integrity? By making sure it is encrypted and protected and available only to the right people on need to know, need to do basis. How can you make it available? Making sure that you have a secure storage of the data, you have the backup and multiple redundancy of those things area. So this has to be combined along with that CI triangle, I would say. First of all, of course, when a hacker have an intention of either damaging the reputation of the company. Third, they want to make money or steal the sensitive data, what they have it, and what we call it a double or a triple extortion of the data breach. Let me explain triple extortion because it is very, very important. Let's take an example of a financial, not a financial, but an insurance company whose data has been breached by a hacker. So once the hacker or the adversary has a copy of the data, they do a triple extortion. One, they reached out to the company saying that I have encrypted your data on your device. You give me the money and I will give you the data back. Second, they already taken the copy of the data and they go and sell the data to a competitor saying that I have a data from this X company. Would you like to buy it? I will give you at this price. Third, they will reach out to the individual, for say example John, saying that John, I have an excess of your medical data from so and so insurance company which we have hacked. You give me the money and I will not share your data, rest everything I will sell it. So this is called a triple extortion. They try to make money by three ways. So going back to your question, why hackers? This is the modus operandi of attackers, that they have the data, now they want to commercialize the data. They can sell it at a very good rate in the market. And you will be surprised to know that healthcare and education industry data are the most valuable data in the dark web, going all the way from $150 to $250 per data, as compared to credit card, which is couple of dollars only. So that's data is a new jewel, data is a new oil, or data is a new gold, as we say. That comes to people, process, technology, right? There is no one thing you can do to mitigate or fix your digital data problem, what you have it. People point of view, you need to make people aware that this is the kind of data we collect as a part of our business. This is our classification scheme, that this data is called confidential, this type of data is called internal, this kind of data is called public data, or this kind of data is called highly confidential. So that's from the awareness. Then comes to process point of view, they should know how to classify the data. Once you've given them a knowledge, once you've created the classification, they should have a process to follow, that if I collect credit card data, this is how I should classify it, this is how I should protect it, this is how I can share it. This is the process in place for giving access to the data based on need to know, need to do basis. That's the principle you have to follow. When it comes to technology, that's where the technical aspects come into play, that you want to automate the process of data classification. That based on the type of data you have today in your machine, automatically it will put a label that this is the confidential data, or automatically it will encrypt the data for you based on the classification you have. For example, you have a medical data or a credit card data, by default, because you have the technology in place called information protection, it is going to encrypt the data and store it accordingly. Otherwise, it will not encrypt based on the data what you have it. So people, process, technology, all three has to work together to improve your data digital estate within the company. Managing a data threat, actually it's everyone's responsibility, right? We talk security is not only IT or security people's responsibility, it's everyone's responsibility. But where does the training come into place is people, process, technology, going back to the same three triangle. Having a trained person, he or she would know what are the various legislative requirements, the laws of the land requirement, what are the privacy requirement when it comes to handle the kind of data, and what kind of data. So a trained person would know and is aware of all the laws and the privacy and the policy requirement from that country or from the industry where he or she is working. A trained person also has a knowledge of various governance framework. Could be ISO 27001, could be PCI DSS, could be GDPR or the privacy law, right? Trained person is also have a knowledge of how to implement the correct technology to protect the data, having the knowledge of encryption, having a knowledge of storage, having a knowledge of cloud environment where the data is stored and all this requirement. So definitely a trained person is better than an untrained person when it comes to handling the data security, right?